Well, it's 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. I'm Michelle Courtney Berry, and I am the proud Chief Marketing Officer of this great credit union, Alternatives Federal Credit Union. It's our 2020 annual meeting. We have an exciting evening where you're going to hear from brilliant words from our lauded retirees. You're going to listen to award winners both in our community and on our staff that we're so proud to congratulate. You're going to hear from a number of speakers. Up next will be Eric Levine, and before he starts, he's our great CEO. I just want to say you might hear these words that you've heard a lot through 2020. You might hear unprecedented, pivoting, resiliency. I don't know who hasn't heard those words when talking about the year that 2020 was for so many of us. So I'm just so pleased to be here with you this evening. I'll help moderate, but there'll be some other great speakers who will drive the meeting. We're going to hear from our board. And last but certainly not least, we have the amazing Gian Paul Gonzalez, who is an amazing speaker, who is our keynote speaker tonight, who created the all-in mantra. Some of you have heard him speak before. I won't talk about him now because we'll get to him in about 30 minutes into the meeting. So I welcome you all from near and far, from our beloved members to our board, our staff, and our great community guests. It's such an honor to be with you this evening, and I'd like to turn this program over to our illustrious CEO, Eric Levine.
Thanks, Michelle. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending our annual meeting for the year 2020. It was an unforgettable and challenging year for alternatives, as it was for countless not-for-profits and businesses during the pandemic. It's my honor to report that we consistently rose to a variety of challenges and circumstances throughout the year. I remain in awe of the incredible collaboration and hard work from our staff and board. We were able to meet changing needs of our members, even with decreased in-person contact and with much of our staff working remotely. We also provided needed support to the communities we serve as we seized upon key opportunities to positively impact the lives of our members. We owe much gratitude to our essential frontline staff, who in times of stress and uncertainty, gracefully continue to deliver excellent in-person member service. As soon as the pandemic hit, we granted immediate and extensive loan payment relief to many of our borrowers. We also provided needed capital to the community. With the help of our community partners, we developed a first ever community assistance loan fund, which is an interest-free 0% loan with delayed payments for both individuals and small businesses that suffered any downturn in income due to the pandemic. This loan is still available. Also, we distributed the Small Business Resiliency Fund. You may recall it being called the SBRF. These are grants to businesses in Tompkins County in partnership with local government entities, among other key partners. We also deployed the Federal Paycheck Protection Program, also known as the PPP, forgivable loans to local businesses, which our staff was committed to doing before the guidelines were even written. Last year, we became more vocally committed to the important Black Lives Matter movement in the wake of the horrific murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and a long history of others. We stand in solidarity with the fight against systemic racism, white supremacy, and the historical oppression of Black, Brown, and Indigenous people of color. Despite these atrocities, we find strength and hope in our devotion to a mission designed to uplift and improve the lives of those who rely on us most. By offering a hand up to people each day who have been left behind by the mainstream financial industry, we continue to fulfill our purpose. Last year, Alternatives managed to expand our community programs by enhancing Business Sense to provide a full suite of consulting services for small businesses and fledgling entrepreneurs, including attorney services, accounting and bookkeeping, and marketing and brand consultation, and much more. 2020 was also an award-winning year for us. We were honored to win first place in the prestigious National Desjardins Award for Financial Education, sponsored and selected by CUNA, the Credit Union National Association. CUNA created the award to recognize leadership within the credit union movement on behalf of financial literacy for all ages. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our volunteer board of directors and why they serve. What separates a credit union from a bank is that while a bank's main duty is to maximize shareholder profit, a credit union is a not-for-profit financial cooperative whose owner members elect a volunteer board of directors. Alternatives is a special type of credit union, the only credit union in Tompkins County which has the designation of a community development credit union, also known as a CDCU, which is a credit union with a mission of serving low and moderate income people and communities. CDCUs specialize in serving populations with limited access to financial services. And it all starts with the generous volunteering of time, skill, and work of our dedicated board. Our president, Jessa Edwards, Vice President Leslie Ackerman, Treasurer Jim Fravel, Secretary Amina Omari, Leonardo Vargas Mendez, Brian DeYoung, Alyssa Hull, Tolkien Adarova, and Christopher Teitelbaum. 2020 was indeed a challenging year, yet it brought out the best in alternative staff, board, community partners, and members. It is through our members' support that our credit union continues to innovate, take risks, and meet community needs. We're very grateful for the ongoing support of our membership and our community, which make our mission possible. Together, we are building a better world for all. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our board president, Jessa Edwards.
Great, thank you so much, Eric. And welcome to our members, staff, directors who are present tonight. To say that 2020 was a tumultuous year would be a great understatement, but it has been my honor to lead our committed and engaged board of directors through these challenging times. As our small and mighty credit union redoubled its efforts in social and economic justice throughout the many communities we serve, I'm proud to say we also demonstrated the value of remaining agile and innovative and of expanding into new markets, even during a global pandemic. Service-oriented, member-owned, nonprofit credit unions like ours continue to make impactful, character-based loans and provide access to consulting, coaching, funding, resources, and counseling in ways that banks simply do not. We understand that it's not only important to listen to marginalized groups, but to ensure that Black and Indigenous people of color and LGBTQ+ folks are in positions of authority and decision-making. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are too often used as buzzwords and window dressing, but we understand that they must be foundational to everything we do here. That we distinguish ourselves, help those who need us most, and remain an award-winning credit union throughout difficult times is truly an inspiration. It's been my distinct pleasure to serve. And with that, it's also my pleasure to introduce Chief Operations Officer Riley Shane.
Jessa. Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley Shane, the Chief Operations Officer at Alternatives, and I have the pleasure of presenting our community awards tonight. First up, we have the Alternatives Award for Social Responsibility in Business. This award is to honor those who have distinguished themselves through business practices that demonstrate commitment to social responsibility. Past award winners and nominees have included those dedicated to paying their employees a living wage, trading in responsibly produced goods, being good stewards of the environment, fighting for social justice, or otherwise using their enterprises as both an example of and a platform for promoting social responsibility in business. This year's recipient, the Tompkins County Chamber of Commerce, has shown incredible resiliency, made sacrifices in capacity and time, and really came together as a team to support its stakeholders while navigating the incredible circumstances presented by the pandemic. Through all of this, they were able to support hundreds of area businesses and organizations who are also doing the same. When I asked Jennifer Tavares, President and CEO, to describe the chamber using 3 adjectives, she replied, engage, thrive, impact. This is their tagline and the epitome of everything they are and do as an organization. While we celebrate the chamber for their outstanding job of supporting area businesses during the COVID pandemic, Jennifer has said their proudest accomplishment has been addressing racial injustice by laying the groundwork for their diversity, equity, and inclusion training series, which began in early 2021. This training series engaged dozens of businesses in the important work and awareness around racial justice, equity, and inclusion. The chamber recognizes and cares about the best outcomes for our community by investing in those who need support the most, by including as many as possible in envisioning the future and working together to achieve shared goals for people and planet. Congratulations to the Tompkins County Chamber of Commerce. We do hope that you will proudly display this award when you move from your iconic location on East Shore Drive. Jennifer, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you so much, Riley, and thank you to the Alternatives team. I'm not sure what more I could say after your wonderful introduction. Really, I just want to thank our team. We've always known how dedicated they were to the business community, to our tourism partners, to the community at large. It's always been apparent, but never more so apparent than last year during, obviously the public health emergency, but also a really massive economic disruption, and their level of care and the depth and breadth of what they managed to do, even on reduced salaries and reduced hours throughout the year is certainly worthy of recognition. We pivoted in every way imaginable, so thanks for teeing that buzzword up for me, Michelle. I don't want to harp on it too much. I'm sure everyone's tired of that word, but it really, this is their award. So I just wanted to say that this year illustrated for us, and I'm sure so many of you, how important our community collaborations are, how important our partnerships are, and that really there's nothing that as a community we can't tackle together. And there were many ways in which we were at the table with Alternatives and so many other partners to address the immediate needs of the business community and some of those who were most impacted by the pandemic, especially in those early days. So I just also wanted to thank your team, and several of you are here for the role that you played in really what was saving jobs and saving businesses, so that we can all continue to work together on our economic recovery, and also to address all of those key issues that you mentioned in your comments, and that I know are near and dear to all of our hearts. So just a tremendous amount of gratitude from us, and really thank you again for the recognition. It's truly meaningful. And we also are really excited about where we land next. And we invite you all to come visit us at whatever that location ends up being. I will be sure to show you where the Alternatives Award is hanging in that next location. So, so thanks again.
Thank you, Jennifer, and all at the Tompkins County Chamber of Commerce. And next up, we have our Solid Rock Award. This award is presented to a community member that has supported the credit union through volunteer work and is a true ambassador of the credit union. She has been a strong voice in our community, speaking up for workers' rights, racial equity, pay equity, and she has stamped hundreds of $20 bills with Harriet Tubman to have them circulated in our community. Ashley Cake is this year's recipient of the Solid Rock Award, and we are so very grateful for her passion, commitment, vulnerabilities, and voice, and for her service on various committees at the credit union, as well as being our past board president. Congratulations, Ashley.
Y'all, I mean, it was a lot easier to hide this from me, I imagine, than when I was board president. Thank you so much. I mean, it means the world to me, especially when, my values have been tested, time and time again, and especially during the pandemic. And, to have those values uplifted in that way by all of you, it means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, and I am going to now turn it over to our Chief Financial Officer, Kevin Metlecki, to give out the Lotus Award.
Thank you, Riley. It's really a pleasure that mine to be asked to give this out. This award is to recognize staff members who have gone above and beyond the call of duty in the regular course of business. And in this year that we've just lived through with one of the biggest healthcare crises of all of our lifetimes, the amount of stress, the strain, the extra pressure and expectations that's been put on everyone in the workforce. It's really my pleasure to announce that this year's winner of the Lotus Award is our Member Experience Associates, otherwise known as our MEAs. And the amount of work that they've done to continue to deliver the Alternatives mission and to share our values with the community and our members through a pandemic, and being in the office day after day when many of the rest of us weren't there. But they're there. I know it was stressful, it was scary. We thank you for everything that you've done to get us through this and out the other side. Your dedication and commitment is what's kept the credit union going. You truly are, especially this year, the face of the credit union for all of those members who have been through the drive-through mostly for the past 12 months, but now thankfully are coming back in as things begin to return to whatever this normal is going to be. And we want you to know we're there to continue to support you any way we can, to just share that love with you that you've been giving out to all of our members this year. So I really want to thank Yashley, Sarah, Marinez, Mary, Carrie, Hank, Mariah, Caleb, Courtney, Thelma, Zach, Jonathan, and Haiti for all the work you've done this year to continue to bring Alternatives mission and values to our membership. Thank you very much. Riley.
Thank you, Kevin. And as the head of operations, I would like to just say that thank you to the team doesn't actually feel like enough. So I hope that along with a thank you to the member experience team, that each one knows how much respect and gratitude I hold for them. As Kevin said, to come to the branch during such uncertain times and to show such professionalism and continuously display a can-do attitude was so inspiring to me over the course of this last year. This team kept the branch buzzing, supported members, opened so many new accounts for PPP and the SBRF loan funds, and fielded thousands and thousands of phone calls. Their commitment, work ethic, and desire to serve our mission deserves this time and recognition. So thank you again to the member experience team for showing up, working hard, and for making good things happen. And now I would like to turn it over to Eric, who will celebrate our retirees from 2020.
Thank you. I'm delighted for our member experience team, our frontline staff, our essential workers to receive that honor and award. We did have 3 staff retire at the beginning of this year or the middle of this year. We'd like to honor people who have more than 10 years of service at the credit union. And first, we have Carl Graham. Carl started at Alternatives in 1985, 36 years ago, and worked his way up to retiring as the Chief of Community Development. The tremendous impact of Carl's work cannot be overstated. His influence is widespread, whether on behalf of social, economic, civic, cultural, environmental, and other forms of justice. This type of work doesn't just touch a credit union, it leaves an indelible mark upon numerous generations and communities. Throughout his life, Carl's devotion and heart-based work have been truly admirable. After serving our nation in the US Navy, he devoted the rest of his career here at Alternatives to develop key community alliances, build bridges, and advocate for all. Carl spent over 3 decades of his life as a highly regarded and deeply respected leader on staff and within the communities we serve. There really aren't enough words to detail how his passionate pursuit of justice, equal rights for all, and respectful approaches to solution building shaped our credit union and its mission for all time. Carl is a trusted voice, force, and bridge builder in our community because he always brings a sense of balance, deep listening, and quiet strength to all that he touches, says, and does. This is not a role we could ever fill with one person because Carl's legacy is something that cannot be replaced. However, we can emulate the kind of deliberative actions he took to ensure justice and continue forward with Carl's wisdom and lessons as a guide for the future. Carl, would you like to say a few words?
Don't mind if I do. Thank you, Eric, for the kind words. I really appreciate it. I've always felt so fortunate to have stumbled into a career at the credit union. But of course, I wouldn't have had a career if it wasn't for the foresight and thoughtfulness of the people who founded the credit union, Bill Myers, Myra Kovari, and the other folks who said, we need a financial institution in this town that's going to be dedicated to helping worker-owned cooperatives, small businesses, and low and moderate income people. And I wouldn't have stayed if it wasn't for the great coworkers I had at the very beginning who were dedicated to that founding vision. Lenny Hockman, Carol Chernikoff, Mary Ziegler, and the many others. And of course, throughout my career, I had the chance to work with just great people. With a special thank you to the folks in the community programs department, from Deirdre Silverman, who built the department, up through the folks who are currently working on community advancement. So thank you to all my coworkers, and I hope the work will continue with as much passion and dedication as we've seen these past 40 plus years.
Oops. Thank you, Carl. Next, we have Brian Zaff. It takes a special person to guide people through a process as anxiety-laden as preparing and filing income taxes. Brian is such a special person. As director of the community tax program, Brian needed the knowledge to train the many tax program volunteers who assisted program clients. Brian recruited dozens of volunteers each year, and most wanted to return to work with Brian. Brian had to keep up with the annual changes to the federal and New York State tax code. And just as important, Brian had the patience, kindness, and empathy to calm and reassure clients that they were in good hands. Clients that Brian and his volunteers had their best interests in mind. Alternatives Tax Program is arguably our best known community program. That is in large part to Brian's leadership over 14 years. Thank you, Brian. Your service to our community has been invaluable. Brian, would you like to say a few words?
Yes. Hello and good evening, all. Well, first I wanted to say that yes, in fact, I actually have retired. To those folks who keep asking me why I'm still there, it's just taking me that long to clean out my office. But I want to say that I've had 14 years of being able to come to work and just feeling good about the kind of work that I was doing, and I was able to do that because I was privileged to be supported by two supervisors, first Deirdre and then Carl, who totally understood and got and valued the mission of VITA, as well as the mission of the credit union. And it's the work that we did was only possible because of the support not only of the credit union, but of the wider human services community, who, also aligned with our mission, who, served us by, sending clients to us, by sending volunteers to us, by donating space for our work, and who really also, were aligned with our mission of uplifting our clients. I just really want to thank the founders for their vision of actually creating a place, an amalgam of a financial institution and a community service organization that who is dedicated to making community and individuals be better. And I can't imagine, a better way to have ended my working career than to have done so at Alternatives. So I just want to thank everyone for that.
Thank you, Brian. And lastly, we have Mary Ziegler. Mary, unfortunately, was not able to attend this evening, but nonetheless, I would like to recognize Mary. Alternatives appreciates Mary Ziegler for being such a dependable lifer at Alternatives, working as a vital and beloved part of the organization since 1984 and retiring as the Chief Implementation Officer. When you needed a super smart and organized person on the job, Mary was usually it. Mary led the implementation and ongoing management of Alternatives' most sophisticated systems, processes, and software, among many other important things in which she was involved. Some of Mary's many notable achievements include heading up the Y2K Millennium Bug strategy, if you'll remember way back then, managing and implementing our largest software and process and data conversions, including core processor, cards, online banking, mobile app, digital wallet, and many more. Mary was a key member of the senior management team, and it will take several people pitching in to attempt to fill the void left behind by Mary. She will be missed and appreciated for many years to come. Can we please have a round of applause for all of our amazing retirees? Whoops, thank you very much. And I would like to hand it over to Michelle.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you all. Your brilliant words, your kind hearts, and also your timing, because we are exactly on time. So this speaker is going to be introduced. It's Gian Paul Gonzalez. I see he's here with us already. He's going to be introduced by a video that Eddie's going to start for us shortly. Some of us have seen him and been big fans. We were like, we have to get him. I heard him at a national conference that I attended on Zoom through Kuna, and talked to our CEO and our board, and we're like, can we get him? He's in such huge demand. Gian Paul Gonzalez, you'll see why. You'll be all in after his talk if you aren't now. We were lucky to get him. We're so thankful that he's here. So what we'll do is, and you're lucky to be here too, because we don't record his speeches. So we're going to record the intro, and then you're all able to see him live. Other people won't be able to, but the great news is you can find him online, and he's also going to allow us to record the Q&A right after he gives his keynote. So without further ado, I'll ask Eddie to show the video.
To understand how two words turned a New York Giants season going nowhere into a trip to the Super Bowl?
It is the words of a teacher from New Jersey that may have actually helped turn things around.
It was the rallying cry that helped carry the New York Giants to their last Super Bowl championship.
All in, all in, all in, all in, all in,
all in, all in,
all in. It was all in today. Went to chapel last night and our speaker talked about all in. And today, you can just tell the Giants were all in.
I've been all in the entire season. I've been all in since I've been born.
That whole all in thing, I somehow missed it over the past few weeks. But then this morning, as I was driving to work on the turnpike, I saw it written on somebody's back windshield. And then lo and behold, a few hours later, I actually got to meet the guy who came up with it.
His name is Gian Paul Gonzalez.
Gian Paul Gonzalez.
Gian Paul Gonzalez.
His name is Gian Paul Gonzalez, a 9th grade teacher.
The obvious question, Gian Paul, is how did the Giants find you to give the team a little pregame chat?
You got to go back to the night before Christmas Eve. The Giants were 7-7, and they'd lost 5 of their last 6.
There was definitely something missing.
That night at a players' chapel meeting,
he delivered one of the most timely messages that I've had, not only in my football career, but in my life.
Putting all your selfishness aside, which is basically what I'm sure you're always preaching anyway, Gian Paul, but the fact that this has taken hold for the entire team has got to make you feel great.
It's just something that became, infectious. Wanting to give more effort, wanting to stay behind and watch more film.
Ever since then, everybody, all 53 guys, 46 on game day, they're all in.
The New York Giants are the NFC East champions.
Not about individual, just everybody being 100% dedicated to the team.
The New York Giants have eliminated the #1 seed. They're all in.
It's our minds that are powerful. What's going to give you that extra edge? What's going to give you that extra push? I don't think I was giving it 100%. I might have been giving it 90%.
The Giants in overtime have won the NFC Championship.
When I say all in, I really mean they're all in.
you think you'll get a ring?
I wouldn't turn one down. That's where all in starts, usually in the place that's least comfortable.
The funny thing is, whether you're a Giants fan, Cowboys fan, Patriots fan, this doesn't have anything to do with football.
Thank you so much, Gian Paul, for all of those words of inspiration. We had a lot of questions come in. You answered a lot of them. One primary question that folks had was kind of, what does a credit union mean to you, which you just answered. We have time for someone to raise a hand and ask a quick question or put something in chat before Gian Paul goes off to the next probably exciting speaking gig. Does anybody have anything that they want to ask or share? We're seeing beautiful message. Thank you very much for those moments of inspiration that you shared. I definitely know that an appeal is for many people in our audience is that we have a lot of educators in our community, a lot of people who teach and uplift, a lot of people who work in nonprofits. And when you talk about kind of staying all into task, I guess one question that just came through is what do you do when you get discouraged? I mean, this kind of getting up at 5 a.m. and working out and knowing it's for the end cause and not focusing on the feelings, like what have you drawn on when you have not felt like being on it all in? What's something that you gravitate towards that continues to motivate you forward to live the mission, where particularly for the work that you do?
Yeah, Michelle, I think that's a great question. I know for myself, it really begins with my faith. Definitely a believer in Jesus Christ, and that helps me so much. And I'd say the thing that also helps me so much in that same line is just always making it about people. And if it's just about an end goal of a product or just a certain event, we'll get tired, we'll get discouraged, especially if it's even just about ourselves. With a lot of the athletes and the players I get a chance to work with, especially my students, I always challenge them, put a person behind, that honor roll, put a person almost next to, some of the achievements you want to make. Because it's just amazing how much we'll do so much for people than we'll ever do for ourselves, and we'll ever do if it's just a thing or it's just an accolade or, getting in the newspaper or a prize. And I know you guys do that so much. You put your members first in so many different ways. And I think, secondly, the thing that helps me, especially when I make it about people, because the tough thing about people, as we all know, is that they can be so unpredictable. One day you're the greatest thing in the world, and the next day they're, it's like, why would they write that comment? Why would they leave that review? Why would they say that? Like, I just helped them out so much. We can be kind of fickle. Even all of us can be kind of fickle, even to our favorite restaurant or favorite coffee shop. Sometimes, we get the wrong type of espresso, and it's like, oh, this is horrible, right? And for those points, I would think sometimes all in, Michelle, applies sometimes we got to apply that to ourselves, to our own health. We got to have that balance. We got to have those small things that provide victories, that give us the endurance and the confidence to go into the next thing, you know. And so I think it's different for every person, but I'll share one that's just really important for me. You know, probably my doctor would say too much, but I really love coffee. I really love coffee. Addiction's a strong word, but I really enjoy it, right? But for me, and I know it sounds simple, but you know, working out is really big, getting that endorphin release, that confidence from having a healthy workout schedule. But you know, I'm not playing professional basketball, so I'm not working out 8-9 hours a day. But coffee for me, you know, I really got into the science of it. And you know, when things are so unpredictable in my life, you know, and working with different students from different backgrounds, from such really heartbreaking stories, you know, sometimes the simple act of dialing in espresso in the morning, you know, adjusting the grind from a little bit finer to a little bit coarser to get that, what they call the perfect extraction. It's not a huge deal. It takes about 15 minutes. But I love it. And I wouldn't say it centers me, but it provides some of that balance, that I know there's something in my day. It's been a long day. Some days there's victories and it's celebrations. Some days it's just rainy and it's tough and it's hard and it's only Tuesday. It's not even Friday yet. And so having those little things really helps center me, and understanding that I'm going to make mistakes along the way. I love what my grandfather would always tell me about, you know, being a shark, which is the #1 predator in the ocean. He was from Cuba and he was unfortunately put in political prison for almost 20 years of his life. But he would always talk to me about being a shark, which are the main predator in that area. And he said a shark is #1, not because it's indestructible. Its main weapon, a shark's teeth, they actually lose every single day. But he said a shark's mouth consists of 7 rows of shark teeth. So every time a shark loses a tooth, another one begins to push forward from the back row and is in place within 24 hours. And it really, you know, he said that's how we got through political prison, is the idea I'm not going to be perfect, you know, and I could get bitter and angry at everybody else involved, or I could just decide, you know what, I made some mistakes, but I get another tooth, I get another opportunity, and it doesn't change who I am. You know, just because I bit the wrong thing one day, I don't become a dolphin, right? Dolphins are great, but you don't want to be dolphins when you're born to be a shark. And I think that's who people, that's what our community needs. More sharks, more people understand, you know, I'm going to make a mistake, but you know what, I'm going to be here tomorrow and the next day and the next day after that and the day after that, and I'm going to get it right. And maybe I, you know, didn't approach the situation the right way out of frustration or anger, maybe ignorance. But you know what? I'm going to find a way to do it right. And you better believe I'm not going to go away that easy. And for me, that helps a lot.
We hope that you don't go away and that you continue to keep up with us. I have your contact information. I would love to be able to send you some questions that you didn't get to tonight, because unfortunately we'll have to return to our business part of the meeting. But we could listen to you all night. We thank you for your time. So please stay in touch with us. We're really thankful that you were here with us, sharing your message of inspiration and all of your words of wisdom. So everyone, please use any reactions that you want to in the chat. And thank you again, Gian Paul Gonzalez, for sharing your story with us. Next up on the agenda, Board of Directors meeting. I would like to turn this meeting over to Jessa, our board president.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you. Sorry, just 1 second. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Gian Paul. So yeah, as Michelle said, we now will move on to the part of our annual meeting where we have a couple of important votes we need to take. And all members present will participate in these votes. So the way that we're going to do this is by Zoom poll. So as we go, you'll see a few poll questions come up on your screen, which you can answer, and you'll have about a minute to do so. So if we're ready to do that, yep, we see what's coming up for me, for everyone else. So for the first question here, it's pretty simple. All you need to do is say whether you are a member of Alternatives, member owner. And then I believe in the chat, we're going to place a link to the minutes from last year's annual meeting, which will be our next order of business is to approve those minutes. So yeah, and I see Grace has put it in the chat. So it's a quick read. Go ahead and take a look. It's like a page so that you know what you're voting on. And so whenever you're ready, go ahead and you can answer yes, no, or abstain to approving those minutes as written. I apologize. I was a little thrown by the format of the poll. So I'm sorry, just take a step back before we vote to approve the minutes of the annual meeting. When folks have had a chance to look over those minutes, what we need first is for anyone present who's a member to move, and then a person to second that we will vote on those minutes. So if anyone present would like to move.
I'll move.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. And do we have a second? Eric seconds. Perfect. Okay, so having done that, feel free to vote in the poll. And we'll give everyone a minute to go ahead and do that before we move on to our next order of business. Okay, and so I just was getting confirmation in the chat. In order to have a quorum for these votes, we just need at least 15 members present, and we have 21, so that's more than enough. And so now we'll move on to, if you can still see the poll on screen, you can still vote, but our second and final vote will be to approve the re-election of 3 currently serving directors who've graciously agreed to continue with another term on the Alternatives Board: Amina Omari, Christopher Teitelbaum, and Leslie Ackerman. So we have the same procedure here. We'll just need any member present to move and another to second the re-election of these 3 directors. So do we have a mover? Oh, I see Grace has moved in the chat. Do you have a second? Eric seconds. Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. Okay. So question 3 you'll see in the poll is: do you approve the uncontested re-election of board members Amina Omari, Christopher Teitelbaum, and Leslie Ackerman? You can answer yes, no, or abstain to that question. And once you've answered all questions, go ahead and submit them. And we will have a tally presently. Okay, so I see, thank you, Eddie. I see in the chat that we have majorities for both questions, so both motions pass. And thank you very much, everyone. That concludes the voting portion of our meeting tonight. With that, I'll introduce Richard Lansdowne, Chair of the Supervisory Committee. And if you still have a chance, if you haven't submitted and you still want to, please do. But anyway, yes, thank you. And Richard, go ahead.
Thank you, Jessa. I am Richard Lansdowne. I'm chair of the supervisory committee. I am here just to present the supervisory committee report. You may read that in every copy of the annual report that the credit union puts out. I also encourage anyone of concern to obtain copies of the annual financial statement audit, in which the financial auditors present their opinion. We engage the auditors every year. They generally, or I should say they have every year, of course, confirmed in their opinion that the reports of alternatives financial performance that the management presents are fairly presented and comply with generally accepted accounting principles. We also, as a committee, are engaged in internal controls and review of compliance and so forth. And as the chair of the committee, I want to thank Melissa for her hard work, as she does every year, to pursue and conduct those activities and present them and assist the committee with its work. So thank you, Melissa. And with that, also ask, do remember that you may contact the committee if you have an issue with respect to the credit union. Our email address is supervisory@alternatives.org. You'll see that in the annual report. Thank you for your time. And with that, I will turn things over to Dave, who will be conducting the meetings of the Alternatives Fund.
Well, actually, we have Una here this evening who will take over that portion and for the Alternatives Fund.
Great, thank you. The mission of the Alternatives Fund of Ithaca, AFI, is to create, support, and advocate for the economic well-being of individuals and communities, especially low-income people, women, and Black, Brown, and Indigenous people of color, with a focus on improving the economy of Central New York. Anyone who joins Alternatives Federal Credit Union becomes a member of AFI, and the $2 membership fee goes to AFI. AFI is a 501c4 field of membership organization of the Alternatives Federal Credit Union, and AFCU members have the opportunity to vote or run for a position on our volunteer board of directors. AFI also oversees projects with the goal of achieving structural change in our community. If you are interested in joining the AFI board, if you want to help us create, support, and advocate for the economic well-being of communities and individuals, especially low-income people, Black, Brown, and Indigenous people of color, and women, with a focus on improving the economy of upstate New York, please contact AFI@alternatives.org. The Alternatives Fund of Ithaca accepts donations via Alternatives Impact. If you are interested in making a donation, please contact impact@alternatives.org. I'm going to take a minute to tell you a little bit about the programs we're going this year. We're working on a lot for next year, but for now, there's the BJM Credit Builder. It's a maximum $200 microloan specifically for unbanked homeless families of children in the Beverly J. Martin School. And it's to establish a credit history and to help develop a relationship with a financial institution. There's also a Helping Hand microloan. It's a maximum $500 microloan for community members with high debt to reclaim their credit. No fee accounts for tax clients. For clients who have filed their taxes with Alternatives Free Tax Prep Program, AFI will provide the $5 minimum balance requirement when joining the credit union. There is a $25 tax season savers reward. Put $100 into a savings club certificate from your tax refund, and AFI will deposit an additional $25. And last but not least, the Certified Living Wage Study. I'm sure you've heard of it before. Every 2 years, Alternatives Federal Credit Union calculates a living wage for a single individual living in Tompkins County. AFI commissions a study on the impact of AFCU's living wage study in conjunction with the Tompkins County Living Wage Coalition. then publishes its findings for the economic improvement of our community. That pretty much wraps up the report. However, we have a little bit of housekeeping. At this point, I would like to offer a motion for the re-election of the AFI board member, Allison Christie. Can I get a second?
I second.
Several seconds.
Thank you, B. I'm not sure how you want to implement the vote, Edward or Michelle. I don't think we had an official vote, maybe a unanimous hand vote.
Yeah, we can see a show of hands or use the raised hand sign, and then we recorded both a simultaneous tie of Brendan, Eric, and B for that motion. And if you use the raise hand function in the participants side, we'll probably be able to see a number of those hands come through, and that'll be recorded as part of your meeting, and we would mark that as part of your official, I was going to say proclamation, but that's not the declaration of everybody being unanimous on that vote.
Sure.
That works for you.
Nine raised hands. Do we have a quorum that pass? Yeah, I can't see it myself.
Yeah, you do. On the participant side of, when you look in participants on your screen, if you view, you can you'd be able to pull your participants over where it says 35, and then you're counting from. I'm not allowed to raise my hand, but I'm glad to support. For some reason, as the host, I can't use that function right now, but I believe you would have your quorum.
Okay. Well, then
I saw a lot of raised hands just on screen that were not the raised hand function. So I think it's more than safe to say that we have
yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That concludes the AFI report portion of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So want to keep everybody on time. So I want to thank everybody and all the guests who are here. Each year I try to record keywords and themes and do a short wrap up. So this is the second year in running this, kind of listen for words and response. So tonight we heard about the importance of service, meaningful connections, how we could become good ambassadors for our members, the importance of strong voices, equity, and DEI embedded in all that we do. When our values were tested, we worked on being an uplifting voice for others, to overcome challenges, to remark upon awe, to collaborate, to go above and beyond, to bring oneself fully all in, to combine remote work with hybrid work from home, from being in the front lines, to honoring the work and tireless efforts of our MEAs who were there when many of us were at home, who fought the good fight and always brought their A game. For all of our members, we thank you for letting us deliver on the mission. For our board, thank you for sharing our values, for consistently rising to support, for being all in your dedication, your grace, and your commitment. What would we be without you, our members, and our community? Thank you for all the behind the scenes work and the tireless work, the strength and dedication. This is our call of duty to uplift, to help and be a helping hand, to make an indelible mark, to lead with heart, to overcome nerves and failures, to attest that we are here and we matter. What does it mean to lift and lift up, to lift as we climb, to make the tough choices, to choose to make all of our members the primary focus of our work? How do we continue to defy the odds and work against the tide? By being a trusted voice in our community and expanding our efforts through deliberative action. Sometimes we stumble upon our purpose, sometimes we've always known it. but the foresight and vision of our founders create a great force at the credit union. The beloved retirees that we honored this evening show us the importance of patience, kindness, and empathy. We know that we are all in overcoming what we need to overcome by understanding that none of us are perfect, but we continue to be guided by the work that has come before us and the work still ahead of us. We thank you all this evening for your uplifting voices, for your kind attention, and your great patience. We thank you all for the work of the Chamber and for our Lotus Award winners of our MEAs. We also thank our staff, because without you, we couldn't do any of this, and we thank our board for guiding us and supporting us. Thank you all for speaking this evening, for attending this evening, for your kind attention and your kind hearts. Ours is a great community because of you. Please get home safely, and if you're already home, please enjoy your house, which I'm sure you have seen plenty of during 2020 and 2021. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. We will see you not next year, but tomorrow as we continue the good work of what credit unions are known for best, and that's being community-oriented. We're local. We intend to always be locally minded and mission valued in our hearts. Thanks everyone who participated and spoke. And again, thank you for the gift of your time. Good evening.